This is a test. Hello. Hello, hello. This is just another test. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. All right, so it is working, which is good to know. There's just a huge delay on, which is why I can hear myself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round one of the VG League Cup. Good game to Brisbane. I have no idea how many of you are watching. I'm not privy to that information. I am simply in another room doing the commentation. For round one here, we have Chamath versus Chris, and all I know is that Chamath has Polkia, and that's hilarious. So on screen here, you can see that you're watching Chris's POV, just for anyone watching at home. Chris is running right on Lunala with Ogapon for some reason, and Raging Bolt. And then Chamath is running his favorite restricted ever in Miraidon with next to Polkia. And we'll see what Polkia does. I don't know what it does over Ice Rider, but we'll find out together. Oh, hotspot. I thought you were to join me on commentaries there. So I think that's something that both players have to really consider here is the speed war. You know, both players have the trick room mode, on, Chris's side, Lilala does have access to that trick room, and then on Chum's side, Polky does have access to it as well. But then Chum also has the tornadoes, which obviously is that tailwind and completely change the speed dynamic of the game, which is not something that Chris is privy to. But we'll see how he deals with it. We'll see what happens. So it's the Palkia and Incineroar lead coming up from Chummock, and it's Fluttermane and Koraidon staring it down. You would say, in honesty, that this is probably a good lead for Chummock, although it will possibly bait out that Terra on that Palkia if it wants to avoid taking a hit from the super effective Fluttermane. See what wants to go for here. Fluttermane also does have access to Thunderwave, which you can see, which can obviously also attempt to just completely stop Palkia from moving altogether. But I've seen Fluttermane's actually going to opt instead just to go for super effective damage. I'm going to go for close combat. Just I think it comes out from Chummock, respecting the move, obviously. Moonblast comes out into Palkia. It lives the hit incredibly. The special attack drop is actually rather brutal. Koraidon flinches and Palkia sets up. So Chum has got his speed control up, just as we were talking about in the preview, but he has eaten up a special attack drop, 90% of his damage output on one of his restricted runs in return to get it. So Terra Fire's coming out on this Koraidon here. Possibly afraid of, taking a Hydro Pump, even though, we are, it's not the Hydro Pump, because he's going to be weak to the Hydro Pump. But yeah, I guess, we are -1 special attack in the sun. He's not really taking very much from that hit, is he? Palkia does switch out here, as you see. He wants to reset that special attack drop that was given on, because through his Palkia, and then Luna comes in now. Luna at the end of the turn is on the center hit. Burnt by that Guts item, and then reactivate a Guts ability and burnt by the Flame Orb. Cutting Shot comes out into this Koraidon. He was not clear amulet, so now it is -2 in attack. However, the Life Orb will help, undo some of that damage. As for the Terra Fire, then all honesty, this might just be pretty equivalent to just a neutral Koraidon if he has chosen to go for a Fire type move here. Koraidon is out on the field, making sure nothing is going to sleep, but that's not really important. Combat will come out, and although that move is a neutral hit and it is a -2 Koraidon, you can still see that does half to Koraidon. Moonblast comes out into the Luna. If that had been targeting the other slot, that's just a dead Koraidon. So it's a risky move from Chum here, but it seems to play out well. It'll also be interesting to see that we have a Trick Room Koraidon. Koraidon obviously is a Pokemon you normally want to see outside of Trick Room, typically on the tailwind if anything. I was wondering, it's an issue here if Chum has an EV typical way, or it's a question if Chum has this Koraidon EV particularly slow. The Terra will be coming out from Chum's side here onto that Koraidon. It's going to be the Terra Fairy. Well, Terra Electric, I'm sorry. The Terra Electric was just supposed to show that Chum is not the Terra Fairy spec set, which are used to seeing with Koraidon. So Koraidon is going to stop any incoming damage. But as we see, the Fluttermane also goes for Protect for just doing a Scout turn from Chris's side here. The Terra Electric Discharge is the play from Chum here. Obviously, that discharge is not going to hit the Luna and will hit both of the targets. And with Hadron Ender and Terra Electric, that's going to be dealing a lot of damage next turn if both can't shut it down. Sorry, guys, I just seemed to disconnect for a minute there. So the Koraidon has switched out in favor of the Chi-Yu. It will boost the Fluttermane's damage output, which will be switching out. But actually, this Chi-Yu is going to hurt its partner a lot. This Ogerblom is not going to enjoy taking a discard from Electric. It's definitely not going to appreciate that. A headlong rush straight into the sturdy, activate this one. Well, I'm telling you right now, good news is that the Beads of Ruin isn't going to matter much because this Ogerblom is already on 1 HP. And that, my friends, is a double knockout. Chum is up 2-4. The annoying thing is, I have not been counting trick room turns. I have no idea how long is left. Now, the Flutterman and Quaddam are going to come back out onto the field here, but there's something to be said here. This sun, it hasn't been reset. So, in Eternal, maybe too, this sun is going to go away, and you're going to lose the photosynthesis boost, and you're also going to lose that Ori K Impulse. Both abilities on Chris's side will be turned off, I think, the turn after this. I think also, however, we might also be on the last turn of Trick. So, it'll be a win and a lose for Chris there. I'm thinking long and hard here about the turn of play he wants to make. Little does he know there's a double protect coming out, so all that time he's been thinking was for absolutely nothing. Unless, of course, each Pokemon on the side has a setup move here. Let's have a look for it. Nope, we just have Facade coming out. Well, again, unless this Miraidon has Calm Mind, that'll be discharged again. So, yeah, it is leaning possibly towards the idea that Miraidon might be a spec set. Sunlight phase, the photosynthesis wears off, as I said would happen. And then, as you can see here, the Trick turns to turn to normal. Like I said, it's a bit of a positive, a bit of a negative on Chris's side here. He is free should this Miraidon outspeed to take both kills here. I don't know if we've actually seen the speed interaction so far. I think every other turn's been a protect or a switch from this Miraidon here. We have no idea how fast or how slow it is. We do see Miraidon switching out though, so we're also not going to learn this turn if we haven't already. Out comes the we're sucking off this bulk here. It did its job on turn one. It's firm. Now its job, your service was just to get this -1 on -1 in both of Crichton's defenses in return for its life. As you'll see here as well, Chris has returned the favor on that L knockup. We're now in a 2v2 situation. The electricity disappears from this field, and it's actually brilliant timing from Chamath, who, give him the benefit of the doubt, said that was intentional. So now we have the ability to put the fake out again. We lower this Koraidon's attack stat, although we did see before a -2 Koraidon doing half close combat. So if that -1 probably not gonna matter the most in the world, but we'll have a look. Protect comes out from Flood, Protect comes out from both Pokemon here. We're just scouting out, what really wants to happen here. Scouting out what move I think the Miraidon wants to lock itself into. And Snowball does go fake out. It keeps that Miraidon honest at least. And Miraidon is locking himself into Electro Drift this time. It's targeting into that Fluttermane spot. So no, this, Chris is free to go for that Moonblast into this Miraidon and I hope that it takes the kill, but unfortunately that's not the play he's making. So, oh wow, okay, so that's the reason we're making that play, is this Miraidon is absurdly fast. Either that or the Miraidon on the opponent's side is very slow as well as a very slow Fluttermane. It's very rare that you would see a Miraidon out Flame Charge boost moving before a Fluttermane. But here we are. Moonblast comes out into Incineroar, does about 3% afterwards as well. Just, removing that focus dash from play. Chris is free here to just close up this game. I'm going for fake out just here. Alright, so now we're up game 1, Chris. I think what Chelsea needs to do here, if he wants to win out game two and just make a change here, is he either needs to drop the trick remote altogether or he needs to get more value out of it. We got the double knockout, but outside of that, Chris was able to, make some switches and make some protects and just count down those turns. You only really get 4 turns inside of trick room. You set it up, and then by the time you look, it's always says you only got 4 turns left, and at that point in time, you've got 1 turn switching in Barcelona, 1 turn, 2 turns covering protects. Yeah, you got a double knockout on the 1 turn you could move, but you've essentially sacked off your Polkia entirely just for a double knockout for 1 turn of speed control. Like I said during preview the first time, does have access to that tailwind on that Tornadoes, which is not something that Chris has. The fear then obviously comes, if Chris then decides he wants to lead with Ogapon and Lunala, which we might be seeing here. Lunala and Flanagan. With Ogapon in the back, there we go. If Chris had chosen to go with Ogapon and Lunala in front of, Charlotte's Tornadoes plus whatever he chose to sit next to him, you could be looking at some real problems, with the stuff Bellamy Trick Room set, and, Chris can attempt to do what Charlotte tried to do game 1. It is Maridon Tornadoes. I got one of the leads correctly. And it's Lunala Flotterman. Could you imagine if that had been Ogapon and I had called all the leads correctly? But here we are. So that Hadron engine is going to come out from the Maridon. It's going to set the electric train. Nothing can go to sleep. More importantly, Maridon's special attack is going to be boosted the roof. And see here, I think, just Chris's answer into Tailwind is simply just, well, I'm going to use Icy Wind. After 1 Icy Wind, you can then switch out and keep the sun back in up, but then we have to another step into the back. Oh, we have Flying Polkia, ladies and gentlemen. Flying Polkia is on the field. Terra is also coming out, and forgive me, I don't know whose side that is on. There we are, it's on. We have again is Terra Electric Maridon. So it's an interesting play there, not seeing the tailwind out from Chum's side. The critical hit on the Polkia totally matters. It's gonna change so much. The media beam comes out on Nala, be targeting more than likely into that Polkia. But again, you could have stacked up the Tornadoes. Or essentially speaking, I'm not paying attention, ladies and gentlemen. And the Maridon is down to just half of its HP. Discharge. Is that not telepathy? Bulk is not telepathy. Okay. There might be a little bit of a team building area here, because that is, in my opinion, pretty obviously supposed to be a telepathy. And now you're also stuck with a choice specs Maridon, clicking Discharge next to a Tornadoes. You are extremely free. Yeah, to either click that wide guard here and just publish the option, or just assume that Maridon is switching out and go for a Thunder Wave into the Tornadoes. But again, who am I? Not calling any of these turns correct. Maridon is switching out into the Ursa Luna. Lo and behold, wide guard makes sense, but we could have got a parallel system Winter. But yeah, who am I to critique the plays of the person with, technically speaking, second most CP in all of Brisbane? Mobile can come out into that Barcelona. We'll do half, which is a huge amount of damage to deal. Even with a tailwind possibly being set up here, Lunala can just switch out into this Coridon, and we get the speed boost on Fluttermane, and I'm not really sure that even, a +1 Fluttermane gets outspread by a +2 Ursa Luna. Right out here, the Esseluna, the Lunala will switch out. Prado will come in, you'll get the story cam pulse, which will also activate Floodmain's Protosynthesis. His speed is now multiplied by 1.5. Essentially, a free choice scarf has been put onto this Floodmain. Granados goes to Tailwind. Not gonna matter a heck of a whole lot. As Floodmain will still go for Icy Wind first. Another one of those will kill the Estelina with the chip from the burn, and a headlong rush. Radon will actually survive it. That I have no idea if that's calced on. I don't know the interaction. The good news here though is again that this Flamin is free to go to Icy Wind again because this Tornadus is essentially only +1 speed. Again, it's got the -1 drop and then it's doubled. I don't even know if it is +1. I'm just doing some guesswork. But this Floodman might still very well be the fastest thing left field. You go for Icy Wind to take the kill on Ursaluna, and then, go for this Flame Charge with the Tomatoes, guarantee. Oh, and we go for Protect. Ladies and gentlemen, I have gotten another turn wrong, yet again. I'm going to go. Oh, will it miss the 50% accuracy in the sun? Kawaii dodges, goes to a flame charge, and Tornadus will survive, however. Kawaii is now +1, Tornadus is now doubled, but -1. Kawaii will die from Life Orb Ship, however, so maybe that was a little bit of an oversight from Chris there. Lunala will come out now. Lunala obviously a bulky Pokemon. It also won't take that much from a Prestige. You can wide guard as well and go for Icy Wind, and there goes Tornadus' only damage output. We had someone at the end of last year start talking about how Hurricane is actually probably a better call to make on Tornadus these days, because otherwise you get stuck in front of a wide guard Pokemon, and that's kind of just it. You're forced to click Taunt into it. That's probably what we're going to see come out. Oh, just the Bleak and Storm making the read. Essentially, though, that is the only option that Chum has, other than going for double Protect them at Estelina, maybe. Protect them at Estelina, you get it, and you can taunt them with Lunala and Bleak Wind off it. It requires a lot of luck of Chum to go Chum's way. The out was there. Icy Wind will come out and take both kills. Flanamain, even though it's a base 55 attack move, it's coming off that 135 special attack, and that's really going to be enough to ensure the victory here. Only Miraidon is left. The Electric Train goes back up, but I think it's a little bit too little, too late for Miraidon, who decided that it wanted to self-sabotage with that discharge play. Coming back out, and that will be the end of Lunala, at least for now. And then that's it. The opposing tailwind is gone. We have Ogerpon here. Ogerpon also has this sturdy ability, but even if there was one more turn off tailwind, you get a discharge. You would need a discharge power, full power onto the Ogerpon in order to make anything work. Chris playing around that. We have a 2-0 set to start the round. Chris Gibson beats Charlotte. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are part of the FDL, I will ping you next time that there is a cool matchup on stream or I'm playing.
Hello, gamers. We have the loser of your last round, who's definitely running Telepathy Parkia, casting the second match. I think we're just waiting for the pair. I had a quick glance at the team sheets, and we have Swordfish, Kyoga and Zacian versus Corrado and Lunala. So I think we're watching from the Corrado and Lunala perspective. And that's the plan here. So we'll give it a second. We'll let the teams come up and we'll kind of just talk about them in full once we see team preview and once they start picking teams. And apparently we're assembling teams now. I think our POV player was our previous caster, so we got the round one bye. His team is apparently not assembled. But yeah, you can see we have Corrado, Lunala, Chiyu, Ursaluna, Brute Bonnet, and Fluttermane. It's a really, really interesting team. I gotta say I quite like it. I'm a big fan of Ursaluna. That's why I was playing it in the previous round. I just want to play it. I haven't played it in previous formats, but I think it'd be really fun. Yeah, so that's our Corrado and Lunala team, and I think once preparations complete, we'll get a bit of a glance at the Swordfish. So it's Zacian, Kyoga, And from memory, from my glance, we have not a Brute Bonnet, and a Mungus. We have as well. We'll see in a second. There's Gem Power, so pretty standard stuff. I actually did end up playing yesterday in a previous event against this Swordfish team, and it is very strong. I was playing, was I playing Mewtwo? No, I think I was playing. What was I playing? It was definitely. I think I was playing Miraidon Lunala. So very similar matchup, but definitely very different in the sense that like Miraidon does bring the stun, and that's going to be a big advantage for Adam in this case. And as well, having a very strong Trick Room core that is relatively immune to Spore. We have obviously a grass type as well as someone who burns itself. So if you can get in without being spored, then it obviously Mungus isn't really doing too much other than redirecting, which Earthquake is not something you can redirect. So we'll see how we go. It looks like I'm hoping that we're muted in that room, but it looks like we're looking at a Miraidon Lunala lead. That could be really strong, but I think that would obviously give Jack the advantage in the terrain. In the sun. Looks like we're switching out to Miraidon on the back. That makes a lot of sense. I like this. Leaving Chu behind makes sense to me because I think like it doesn't do enough unless you can. I guess because you can control the weather, it's pretty good for this matchup. But when I was playing a similar team yesterday, Chu didn't do anything unless you let weather run out, and then it's an easy pivot to fix it, and there's nothing. Game one's about to begin. Let's see what Swordfish leads. I do quite like this lead because you do have your weather in the back and you can switch it in whenever you need to kind of slow down this Miraidon, which will be super useful as well. Obviously, you have access to Tornadus to Rain Dance, which I'm certain that he's running. I don't have the team sheets in front of me, but I had a glance and there's no way you don't run Rain Dance with on Rain Team. It looks like, considering just going full balls with this Miraidon, which seems very strong, but again, if either like we're sitting in opposite a fairy type who is faster than us, as well as Rain Dance, the damage potential isn't very high. The Brute Bonnet switches in here. I'm not sure what the plan is with that, because I think if we're copying I guess Cubs take Behemoth Blade much better than Lunala would, and it preserves the Shadow Sword. So we see Miraidon go for Terra Fire. I believe we locked in Flame Charge. Let's see what happens. I'm expecting a Rain Dance and some sort of offensive swing from the Zacian. No, we have a Taunt. Okay, so that's the plan. I see that. Yeah, that's a very risky play. Because I think this Flame Charge is going to put Jack in a very risky position. The Flare Blitz would have just taken out the natives. Now, this is a crazy turn. We get the speed boost in the Miraidon, but this actually puts Adam in a really good position because now Tornadus either make Zacian faster or reduce the fire damage. It can't do both. I personally think like the middle ground play, Miraidon size CC innovation is just relatively safe. Alternatively, a switch, because right now Miraidon's not really offering a lot. I do think there's going to be a protectionization as players tries to start putting things in his favor. So mid-air Tailwind and then following turn Rain Dance or switching Kyogre. We'll see. Zacian's under a lot of pressure, so I protect him with protect Zacian just did a Tailwind. Does he think he picks up the Miraidon? No, we go for the Brute Bonnet, and Brute Bonnet tanks it because it's an absolute weapon. Another Flame Charge. Yeah, that makes sense. Take out the Tornadus. No more access to that when we still kind of live out the turns. And effectively, Zacian and Miraidon have very similar speed matchups, like as they did before the tournament.
So on screen here, you can see
that Chris is a massive challenge for them.
Chris is running Miraidon Lunala with Oakapon for some reason and Regent Oak.
I think at this point you need to bring in that Kyogre because without it you just bring in a detrimental position. We'll see what he brings in. Hopefully Kyogre, I can't imagine you leave behind. There's the Kyogre. The Kyogre now has a, I think with the damage that Brute Bonnet has taken, something like an O-Boss could probably pick it up. I don't know. I mean, took the player off like a champion. Like Koraidon, and the Koraidon actually still outspeeds this Ogre now, even with the tailwind because of those speed boosts. So it could just go for a big close combat, but it's not already calculated boosted. So Ogre could take this quite handily, but obviously that does, like I said, take a water spout off the table. It needs to be an O-Boss split. It honestly could even be my spin into Brisbane just to guarantee you don't get put to bed. Chien Power comes out. This is dangerous because you are boosting that attack stat of the damage output on that Brisbane, and that's definitely a KO. There's not a chance. Yeah, that's rough. I don't want to say that Chien Power switching in helps that KO, but I want to do heaps. And I think based on that, even without potentially that double skill they got. So a really, really good Pokemon, really good win. Like have a second Pokemon that can't really do anything. You're forced to attack with Ogre, and then you just get that subsequent PC, and it's just goodbye and Ogre. And now it's actually not having burned a turn of sleep that previous turn. It's a really, really dire straits. But that being said, with Tailwind still up, there is a chance this campaign does have to partner wins the speed time. But then again, you get the risk of being put to bed. Like, I don't know. I think that our Koraidon Lunala player Adam has actually gotten such an advantageous position already. When you have the Rage Powder, so Koraidon safe this turn, and I honestly think that just level is totally fine here. Chamber goes for a sucker punch, which gets redirected in the same touch. Now we have Federation. Even in Tailwind, that is big. It's absolutely massive. Fortunately, we can't get Weather back, but the fact that we still have our restricted in the back, as well as a full unknown Pokemon, Koraidon's still in a great position, and like CC goes very far. Jack still does have access to Terra. Maybe there could be a play made there, but it's going to be very difficult. They should need to do a little work on that. So it needs to go very, very far. The CC, it's actually for over half. Clean to a KO.
Thank you very much for that, Izzy.
Organization stays asleep.
Hopefully does switch out here as you see you also reset that.
That should be good. And yeah. I feel the status all off the table.
Comes in now. What's going on at the end of the turn is on the item and
yeah, Tailwind speeded out. That's basically the end. Because I guess Koraidon's in range of a stuff. I'm not sure this is an honest, I believe it's Meteor Beam. Yeah. I think if you Meteor Beam that Chemcow and connect and get rid of it, as it sucker punches up Koraidon, you guarantee that win. Because Asians might want to do winning that as well. Yeah. I think that Koraidon could also be Lunala just taking out the Asian to get it off.
And you know, although that is a neutral hit and it's a
we see a trick room. Okay, this makes a lot of sense though, because that way the sort of come in the back and it can just start with even just EQ is safe here. Super break divinization, Chamber super low. They're kind of chilling. Looks like we're hovering Meteor Beam. Of course, it'd be EQ wide guard is unnecessary. Like, yeah, so we are going to see wide guard EQ. Wide guard going first means Asian didn't even attempt to protect. Ooh, sucker punch into Lunala. That does not connect. And I think EQ takes the game. Game Pam might survive because there's no guts boost. That barely survives. We're going? That's the game.
Just not going to hit the and coach on targets. And with natural entrance, that's going to be the next turn. Yeah, coach can't shut down.
What's the just go to the that's fine.
It seems to just end it for a minute there. I mean, Corral has switched out in favor of the Chi, boosted it.
Yeah, I see.
But
Really?
actually, this Chi
We used it.
It's this Oakapon is
No way.
Probably taking a discount from electric. It's definitely not going to appreciate that. Rush straight into the
I want to handle control. Practice stuff the other day.
Good news is that these of Ruin isn't going to be that much.
I played 3 10 like 2 guys. I went 4 areas. 4-1.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I think we're good. I had one.
The annoying thing is, I have not been counting trip from turns. I have no idea how long is left.
So, I was yes. 3-2. I only lost it to out of podcast. It's wild tips. I was like,
and Fun and Egg Bottom are going to come back out onto the field here, but there's something to be said here. This sun, it hasn't been reset. So, in Eternal, maybe too, this sun is going to go away. You're going to lose the photosynthesis boost. You're also going to lose the Oricinium pulse. And both abilities on Chris's side will be turned off, I think, the turn after this. I think also, we might also be the last in the trip. So, it'll be a win and a lose for Chris. I'm thinking long and hard here about the turn of play he wants to make. He does seem more just a double protect coming out, so all that time he's been thinking was for absolutely nothing. Unless, of course, he's put much on the side as a setup move here. Let's have a look at it. We just have Facade coming out. Well, again, unless this Maradon has Calm Mind. We discharge again, so it is leaning possibly towards the idea that Maradon might be a spec set. Sunlight phase, the photosynthesis wears off, as I said would happen. And then, as you can see here, the trigger returns to turn to normal. Like I said, it's a bit of a positive, a bit of a negative on Chris's side here. He is free should this Maridon have speed to take both kills here. I don't know if we've actually seen the speed interactions so far. I think every other turn is going to protect or switch from this Maridon here. We have no idea how fast or how slow it is. We do see Maridon switching out though, so we're also not going to learn this turn if we haven't already. Out comes, we're backing off this bulk here. It did its job on turn 1. It's confirmed. Now, your service was just to get this -1 on -1 on both of Crichton's defenses in return for life. As you'll see here as well, Chris has returned the favor on that L knockup now in a 2v2 situation. The electricity disappears from this field, and it's actually brilliant timing from Chamath, who, gives him the benefit of the doubt, said that was intended. Right now we have the ability to fake out again. We lower this Rhydon attack stat, although we did see before got a -2 for Rhydon doing half close combat. So if that -1, probably not gonna matter the most in the world, but we'll have a look. Protect comes out from Fun, protect out from both Pokemon here, just scouting out, what really wants to happen here. Scouting out what move I think the Rhydon wants to lock itself into. Consider what else we have fake out, it's just like quite honest at least. And Rhydon is letting himself into electro drift. He's targeting into that flat spot. So I know this, Chris is pretty good for that move blast each of this Borodon, and I hope that it takes the kill, but unfortunately that's not the play he's making, so... Oh, wow, okay, so that's the reason we're making that play, is this Koraidon is absurdly fast. Either that, or the Miraidon on the opponent's side is very slow as well. As a very slow Fluttermane, it's very rare that you would see a Koraidon out flame charge boost moving before a Fluttermane. Here we are. Rubelos comes out into a Cineron, does about 3% following afterwards as well. Just, removing that focus dash from play. Chris is pretty here to just close up this game. Camel bank for fake out this year. I'd say about game 1, Chris. I think what Chambers needs to do here, if he wants to win out game 2 and just make a page here, is he either needs to drop the truck remote altogether, or he needs to get more value out of it. We got the double knockout, but outside of that, Chris was able to, make some switches and make some protects and just count down those turns. You only really get 4 turns inside of truck room. You set it up, and then by the time you look, as though you only got 4 turns left, and out of that time, just got 1 turn switching in Barcelona, 1 turn, 2 turns covering protects. Yeah, you got a double knockout on the 1 turn you could live, but you've essentially sacked off your Palkia entirely just for a double knockout for 1 turn of speed controls. Like I said during preview the first time, does have access to that tailwind on that Tornadoes, but is not something that Chris has. The fear then obviously comes, Chris then decides he wants to leave with Ogapon and Lunala, which we might be seeing here. Lunala and Fluttermane. There's the one in the back, there we go. If Chris had chosen to go with the Ogapon and Lunala in front of, Charlotte, Tornadoes, whatever, and he chose to sit next to him, you could be looking at some real problems, with the stuff Felony Trick Room set, and, Chris can attempt to do what Charlotte tried to do game 1. So it is right on Tornadoes. I got one of the leads correctly. And if Lunala Fluttermane, could you imagine if that had been Ogapon and I had called all the leads correctly? But here we are. So that Hadron engine is going to come out from the Miraidon. It's going to set the electric train. Nothing can go to sleep. Importantly, Miraidon's special attack is going to be boosted the roof. You see here, I think, just Chris's answer into Tailwind is simply just, I'm going to use Icy Wind. After 1 Icy Wind, you can then switch out and keep the sun back in, but then we have to run it into the back. We have Flying Palkia, ladies and gentlemen. Flying Palkia is on the field. The Terra is also coming out, and forgive me, I don't know whose side that is on, but there we are, it's on. Again, this Terra Electric Miraidon. So to the interesting play there, not seeing the tail out from Charlotte's side, the critical hit from Palkia totally matters. It's gonna change so much. The mini beam comes out with Nala, be targeting more than likely into that Palkia. But again, you could have stuck up the Tornadoes. Or, essentially speaking, I'm not paying attention, ladies and gentlemen. The Miraidon is down to just half of its HP. Movement is charged. Is that not telepathy? Palkia is not telepathy. Okay. There might be a little bit of a team building over here, because that is, in my opinion, pretty obviously supposed to be a telepathy. And now you're also stuck with a choice specs Miraidon, clicking discharge next agreed. Yeah, either click that wide guard here and just publish the option, or just assume that Morano is switching out and go for a Thunderwave into the Tornadoes. But again, who am I? Not calling any of these turns correct. Morano is switching out into the Earth from Luna. Lo and behold, the wide guard makes sense, but we could have gone Paralysis off into. But yeah, who am I to critique the plays of the person who, technically speaking, second most CB in all of Brisbane? Move on and come back into that first limit will do half, which is a huge amount of damage to deal. Even with a tailwind possibly being set up here, Lunala can just switch out into this Koraidon and, we get the speed boost on Fluttermane, and I'm not really sure that even, a plus on Fluttermane gets outsped by a plus 2 Ursaluna. I don't get the Ursaluna. The Lunala will switch out. Koraidon will come in, we'll get the story here on pulse, which will also activate Fluttermane's points. His speed is now multiplied by 1.5, especially a free choice scarf has been put onto this Fluttermane. Ronaldo's going to not going to matter a heck of a whole lot. As Fluttermane will still go for Icy Wind first. Another one of those will kill the Ursaluna with the hit from the burn, and an endlong rush has from actually surviving. That I have no idea if that's capped on. I don't know the interaction. The good news here, though, is again that this Fluttermane is free to go to Icy Wind again because this Tornado is essentially only plus 1 speed. Again, it's got the -1 drop and then it's doubled. I don't even know if that is plus 1. I'm just doing some guesswork. But this Fluttermane might still very well be the fastest in left field. It goes to Icy Wind to take the kill on Ursaluna and then goes for this flank card and Tornado guaranteed. I'm going to protect. Determined. I have gotten another turn off yet again. Will it miss the 50% accuracy of the sun? Koraidon dodges, goes to a flame charge, and Tornadus will survive, however. Koraidon is now +1, Tornadus is now doubled, but -1. Koraidon will die from Life Orb ship, however, so maybe that was a little bit of an oversight from Chris there. Lunala will come out now. Lunala obviously Pokemon and also won't take that much from Life Charge. You can wide guard as well and go for Icy Wind, and there goes Tornadus' only damage output. We had someone at the end of last year start talking about how Hurricane is actually probably a better call to make on Tornadus these days, because otherwise you get stuck in front of a wide guard Pokemon, and that's just if you're forced to put Taunt into it, that's probably what we're going to see come out. Just the Bleak from Storm making a read. Essentially, though, that is the option that Chum has, other than going for double protect from the Corner, maybe. Protect from where they can get it, and you can taunt with Lunala and Bleak Wind off it. It requires a lot of luck of Chum to go Chum's way. It was there. Icy Wind will come out and take both kills. Fluttermane, even though it's a base 55 attack move, it's still that 135 circle attack, and that's probably going to be enough to sure the victory here. Only Miraidon is left. The Electric Train goes back up, but I think it's a little bit too little, too late on Miraidon, who decided that it wanted to self-sabotage with that discharge play. Back out, that will be the end of Lunala, at least for now. And then that's it, the opposing tailend is gone. We have Ogbon here. Ogbon also has this sturdy ability, but even if there was one more turn off tailwind, you get a discharge, you would need a discharge power full power onto the overpond in order to make anything work. Chris playing around that, we had Neil Stead to start the round. Chris Gibson beats Charlotte. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you were part of the FDL, I will ping you next time.
All right, the comms are back because we now have less background noise. So we're in our game 3 with, I think it's going to be 4. I'm pretty sure Jack is up on one. Managed to take out Koradon in 1 turn? Question mark? I don't know. I haven't been following him. But we are somewhere. Jarvis, would you like to be my co-commentator? I'll move the mic. So I'm actually completely lost on board state, but it is 3v4. And we've traded Chen Pao's Sash for a Koradon. That's what we're in. So that sure is a trade. Good trade. We do lose Chen. Okay, so it's 3-3. 3-3. Specialization. I'm assuming it's surely Tigers. They're off. Eats that. Let's phrase that it eats that. Dude, actually, Chen Pao staying on the field maybe like by means of a protect or something. Probably could have picked up that kid. It wouldn't. We had like 228. 50 out of 228. Was that what it was? Yeah. 218. Math is math and it's fucking lesson. Extra 25%. I think it picks up. Easy. Yeah. Rage powder here is really what's up. Actually, no, it's a roll. It's a roll. Right now, we're not under a bit of pressure because of this Among Us. Yes. Yeah. Still got Rage Battle where Spore next turn, so Zacian's still on. Yeah, absolutely. Double protected pollen puff into Root Bonnet. Yeah, you might have to. In fact, I think that if you're the pollen puff should be faster on it. Yeah, so yeah, that's fair. That's true. But I'm kind of surprised that this is Lunala carrying protect because I feel like predicting the Lunala protect is actually reasonable though too. But at the end of the day, it worked out for Jack. So goodbye, Brook Bonnet. Hopefully, Zacian did choose to go on the offensive turn. We got pollen puff. Good, I'm not an idiot. Good to know. Lunala wakes up. That's pretty big. Like, I don't know what Lunala's really going to achieve here. Like, Media Beam picks up neither. Obviously not. Yeah, it's not great. Like, Among Us is probably taking like 60. Yeah, 55, 60%. Damn, never mind, 77. Behemoth Blade, this is breaking the shadow shield again. Still takes more than one more. It'll survive another one. Yeah, that's actually right. This my Lunala would not have survived my shit. Which is Meteor Beam, yeah, surely it's not carrying protection. I think it can. Meteor Beam, Wide Blood, Moon Guys, Protectors like Risen. Metric Room? Oh, of course. Yeah, we saw it yesterday. That's tricked out. Was that one Protect on mine? No, it wasn't. I don't even know my own Lunala spread. Yeah, so never mind. I got sport turn deck for all the times. I won't lie, on the previous turn, if we're sporing that Brute Bonnet up in the slot, that would be insane. That would be probably I think it was too risky though. Like, absolutely. He probably was also expecting the 2-shot on that Luna. I don't think he ever expects it not pick it up. And the working armor chip is actually going to be huge because it shortens us in this time a little bit. Well, I think we do have one more turn to get through. And we're not in a great position. So. Double protect, baby. Yeah. We need to land double protect optimization and obviously Kyogre protects this turn. Yep. Zacian did not even attempt to buy Zacian. And it got a double protect. Nice go. Yeah, that must suck. Actually, yeah, if it's last turn, then we're in a great position. Player Spout just takes it.
Yeah, even outside of suck, even with sucker punch, should still pick up the brute on it after that chip.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate this term because it does like
There's nothing else you do if you don't protect the good.
you sucker that Kyogre gets some damage off, and then let it go down and bring in the null, then you can mitigate Kyogre's damage to its force of high speed. The problem is then you have to get your Ursula, who's now like half HP, to somehow survive against this issue to get healed. So it's not easy by any means.
Do we know if this one's a sacred sword position?
I don't believe so.
Does Saluna go down to an ice beam here? Though? I think it does.
I think it does.
I think it does.
I think Lunala's got a lot of work to do.
I just like take a look at it. Yeah.
Can't all be a good player that checks.
It's just a skill issue, really.
I think the thing is like that protect, even if it goes through that triple never happen. Like it's never going off. I think that that Kyogre's double protect. Sorry, that
They were calling them to play around the block.
yeah.
Because I play
Even still, you.
if they ice beam the Ursaluna slot and Behemoth bladed the
Oh yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
it does go off, but yeah, just
I think you always double the Lunala. Lunala can't protect, which means even if Ursaluna protects, or even if Ursaluna attacks, the other Lunala dies, and then you have 1v1 against a half HP Ursaluna with either being faster. Yeah.
And it has no sprint.
Huh?
Win it for Jack.
What? Yeah. Chat. Jack won. Everyone's yelling at me to say it. Jack won. Jack won the game. All right, chat? Jack won.
Kyogre player won the game.
No, Jack won. He wasn't a Kyogre organization. He used to be a Kyogre player until he needed a hard how to. So he became a Zacian player.
Okay.
Gamers, we had the loser of the last round. It was definitely slightly healthier. Casting the second match, and we're waiting for the pair. I had put the ladies on the pinches. Then they have we have swordfish, Kyoga and Zacian versus Karada and Nanala. So I think watching from the Karada and Nanala perspective, that's the play here. So we'll give it a second, we'll let the teams come up and we'll kind of just talk about them in full once we see team preview, once we start picking teams. And apparently we're assembling teams now. I think our POV player was our previous guest that's going around online. This team is apparently not assembled. But you can see we have Karada and Nanala, Chiyu, Ursaluna, Bonnet, and Flamengo. It's a really interesting team. I would say I quite like it. I'm a big fan of Ursaluna. That's why I was playing it in the previous round. I just want to play it. I haven't played it before in this format, but I think it'd be really fun. Okay, so that's our Karada and Nanala team, and I think once we preparations, we'll get a bit of a glance at the swordfish. So it's Dashi and Kyoga, and from memory from my blades, we have and a Mungus.
I just watched in my last round, I just watched almost the exact same team to what Carlton was running.
I actually did end up playing yesterday and previous event against this.
I think Fairy Pebble and the Fluttermane was an interesting pick.
Was I playing Mewtwo? No, I think I was playing. It was definitely.
And I also
was playing Rhydon now. So.
think that period on those might be good from Colton Jack or whoever it is. And Rainbow Top Theory might be a good idea, might be someone good. Okay, sure.
Obviously, movies isn't really doing too much other than redirecting, which Earthquake is not from the Can Redirect. So, we'll see where it looks like. I'm hoping that we're muted in that room, but it looks like we're looking at a Karada and Nanala lead. Could be really strong, but I think that would obviously give.
Okay, so we see right on the screen versus Charm Power and Fluttermane lead.
Looks like we're switching out to
I think Fluttermane is really threatening here against the Mirai. So I think the Smeeks is probably gonna try and deal with the Fluttermane. So Fluttermane, I believe, will be a Mirai.
Let's see what Swordfish leads.
Sneeze is putting up toxic spikes, which is I've never seen a Sneasel really any Pokemon in competitive run spikes. And the Fluttermane is the KO, which on the Rhydon, which is big. Getting the KO on the Rhydon is going to be big, I think.
Which seems very humble again.
So the Dondozo comes in.
As well as Brain Dance. The Amethyst isn't very high. The group runner switches in here. Let's show what the play is about. I think if we're copying I was thinking we even played much better than Manala would. I think this has a service. So we see for Island with Paris player. I believe we locked in Flame Charge. Let's see what happens.
So Smeasel is. Wait.
Some sort of offensive swing from the station.
The piece of sushi switches in.
I see that.
The Dondozo is now going to become an absolute tank. Let's see how Colton's going to try and deal with this, but I don't know how Colton's going to be able to kill thing.
Adam in a really good position because now
I mean, pairing is going to go Pair Fairy. Probably going to be using a Dazzling Gleam to try and do some good damage. I mean, it's probably going to be using it. Oh, it does use Dazzling Gleam to try and do some good damage into Dozor. That is not as much as I thought. I would do it quite a bit more.
Does he think he picks up the Corral? No, and it's an absolute weapon. And the other flame charge.
So we see the Ho-Ho coming in. I think the Ho-Ho is probably going to go for Brave Bird. I don't know what else it's going to be able to do to Dondozo. So we see the Dondozo protecting. Dondozo is probably trying to get some leftovers healing, or so I don't have the team sheet here, so I don't know quite what the Dondozo has, but and we also saw the Dondozo has leftovers, but we also saw the Ho-Ho trying to use Sacred Fire into the Dondozo, maybe trying to get the burn, so the Dondozo can be less of an offensive threat. And also there's a possibility that Sacred Fire, because of the Sword of Ruin, might do more damage. I'm not sure. But the burn, that's probably going to be big, because now the Dondozo is not going to do as much damage, or really anywhere near as much damage as it would.
Yeah, that's rough. I don't want to say the champ house, which
Ho-Ho protects, probably trying to keep himself safe from a possible wave crash. Or an order up. That might. Yeah, but the leftovers doesn't really give it much, because it just gets the leftovers skill and then it goes straight back down. So yeah, the leftovers, then it doesn't really matter. At least it doesn't matter that much.
I think that Adam has such an advantageous position already. The other rage powder, so for Adam to save this card, I honestly think that it's totally fine here.
Order up comes into the Ho-Ho, doesn't do much damage. Likely because of the burn. At least the Brave Bird coming out, how much is that going to do? It gets the knockout, which is because without Dondozo having that extra up boost, I don't know how the Ho-Ho and Chantal would have been able to deal with it, because it's an extremely bulky Pokemon. But here, the Koraidon, I think the Koraidon's coming in here, if the Koraidon comes in, the Koraidon can probably get rid of Sneasler and Tatsugiri on its own.
It's actually for over half. Into a KO.
I'm actually pretty surprised that neither of the teams have Calyrex Shadow or Zamazenta, really, because they're probably the most common things in the format. Surprised that there's nothing on. There's none from either people. And also, I think it's interesting that that Yak is the person no one knows him that's scary. I don't know who he is in real life. I should know he's Java, so I just realized that. So yeah, the Java's. It's interesting that Java's left behind his second restricted. Normally, I would prioritize. Normally, I think it's not a good idea to leave behind your second restricted, because it's such a powerful Pokemon that you get to help you get some damage. You see the Sneasel fall into the Ice Spinner. Money Water, I don't think it's do much yet, doesn't do much, and now Rhydon's probably, and I think Rhydon's about to end the game. So we're going to a game 2. Let's see how Jarvis tries to adjust. Let's see what he can do to see. I think playing his second restricted might be a good idea. Oh, and I was wrong. I didn't remember that Jarvis had the Shadow Rider. So Jarvis leads with the Shadow Rider and Sneasler versus a Ho-Ho and Fluttermane. I think Fluttermane might go for a Shadow Ball straight into the Shadow Rider, trying to get rid of the Shadow Rider. Actually, Fluttermane doesn't even have Shadow Ball on it. That's weird. The Shadow Rider is Terra Dark, which means now Fluttermane's fairy moves will be able to do a lot more damage to the Shadow Rider. Ho-Ho is very bulky, which is what we expected. It not do much damage. We expected the Astral Barrage to not do much. Now Ho-Ho's getting his tail opened up, so Fluttermane will be able to outspeed the Shadow Rider and get the kill on Moonblast. At least Moonblast should hit Shadow Rider. Moonblast goes into the Shadow Rider, it gets the KO. The crit did not, there's a critical hit, but that did not really matter, because Moonblast could still KO it either way. And the Brave Bird going into the Sneasler, that should KO? Yeah, it KOs. So now, Colton has a big advantage here. He's got rid of half of Jarvis' team already. I mean, Colton has a big advantage because he's got half of Jarvis already. The Rhydon and Goldfish is coming in. Fluttermane could possibly go for a D-Gleam, because with the Beads of Ruin, it might KO the Rhydon, but if Colton wants to be safe, he could just go for a Moonblast for the guaranteed KO on your eye. I see the Terra from Cold. The Fluttermane's going into Terra Fairy. That's interesting. I think if the Flood has gone to Terra Fairy, it's probably going to go for Declean, because a Terra Fairy Declean would tear them right. Oh, it's actually going to the Moonwalk. That definitely kills, yeah. And now it's Fear versus the World. I don't think Jarvis can win this one with Fear. Okay, yeah, Colton's one around. Yeah, I kind of wish this went a bit longer because I kind of like commentating. And I think that those two teams are a bit interesting. Like I've never seen a Rhydon and Valley Shadow together before. Plus the Rhydon and Ho-Ho is interesting. Yeah, that was a pretty dominant performance from Colton with the Rhydon and Ho-Ho. I'm surprised that the Shadow Rider didn't do that much in that game too for Jarvis. I'm pretty sure, looking around, I'm pretty sure the stream game was one to finish. None of the others have finished yet. That match went quite quickly. Especially a lot quicker than I thought it would. I thought it would at least go to a game 3 between those two teams.
Like I said in a previous version, does have access to that talent that Colorado but is not something that Chris has. But the fear then obviously comes, and decides he wants to play no longer on and Lunala, which we might be seeing here. Lunala and Flutterman. Pokemon in the back is going to go. If Chris chooses to go with the Pokemon and Lunala.
He had a very, very, very quick game. They had a very quick game, especially a lot quicker than I thought it would be.
Chris can attempt to do what Charles tried to do camera. It is right up I got one of the leads correctly. And another Flutterman. Could you imagine if that had been over and I had called all of the leads correctly? But here we are. So the Hydron engine is going to come out from the Rhydon. It's going to set the electric train. How can he go to sleep? Importantly, Rhydon's special attack is going to be boosted the roof. I think, just Chris's answer into Tailwind is simply just, well, I'm going to use Icy Wind. After one Icy Wind, you can then switch out. There's some that did not, but then we have
Yeah, it was a very, very quick stream match.
Flying Bulgaria is on the field. The camera is also coming out and through here. No, 5 minutes on. There we are. You know, again, it's electric right. So it's an interesting play there, not seeing the tail out from.
But I did enjoy the short bit of casting I got.
Totally matters. It's gonna change so much. The behavior comes out in we can't get more than likely into the Nokia. Again, you could have started off as one of or essentially speaking, I'm not anything, ladies and gentlemen. Right is down to just off of its HP. Is that not something? Oh, gives us something. There might be a little bit of a team building over here because that is, in my opinion, pretty obviously supposed to be a top thing. And now you're also stuck with a choice specs where I'm clicking the discharge next to a tornado. Extremely free. Yeah, either click that white guard here and just publish the option, or just assume that Morales is switching out and go for a fun play and two tornadoes. Who am I? Not calling any of these notes right. Morales, into the lo and behold, white guard makes sense, but you know, he could have got a Morales as offer to,
No, it was an interesting game. Quite a bit fun. Yeah.
Even with a tailwind possibly being set up here, Nadal can just switch it into this corral bit, the speed boost on Flyaway, and I'm not really sure that even plus on Flyaway, it has been give us a little. Give us a little. The will switch out. Crowd will come in, get the scoring here. It also activates Flyaway's speed. Chris's speed is now multiplied by 1.5, especially a free choice.
Jake?
As we put on this Flyaway.
Jake?
So it's not gonna matter a heck of a whole lot. As Flyaway will still go for icy with another one of those will get us a little bit with the from the burn, but an end level rush is actually so
now? So I was like,
I have no idea if that's happened. I don't know the interaction. The good thing though is again that this one is free for the icy win again because this round is essentially only plus 1 speed. Again, it's got the -1 drop and then it's doubled. I don't even know if it needs +1. I'm just doing some guesswork. But this one might still very well be the fastest thing left field. If you go for icy win to get the fill on this one, and then so this week, Mars guaranteed. I have gotten the first man off yet again. Will it miss the 50% accuracy of the sun? Corona touches goes to a flaming charge and it's +5, however. Corona is now +1, Tornadoes is now doubled, but -1. Corona will die from life orb shit out of it, so maybe that was a little bit of an oversight from Chris there. Nala will come out now. No, you know, also not take that much off of the start. Well, with icy things, and there goes Tornadoes' only damage. We had someone at the end of last year start talking about how Hurricane is actually probably a better call to make on Tornadoes these days, because otherwise you get stuck in kind of a white guard Pokemon, and that's just get your force a taunt into it. That's probably what we're going to see come out. Just the belief of Storm making a really essentially though that is the option that Trump has other than going for double protecting them this corner maybe. In fact, when you get it, then you can on the Nala too late for the right who decided that it wanted to sabotage the discharge plan. That will be the end of the null, at least for now. The method it was on is gone. We have one also has the skirting ability, but even if there was one was going to discharge, you would need a discharge power, full power onto the other one in order to make anything work. In the first winning around that, we have Neil's back to start around. Chris Gibson, pretty sure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are a fan of the FDL, I will ping you next time.
All right, the comms are back because we now have less background noise. So we're now game 3. With, I think before, I'm pretty sure Jack is up on one. Imagine taking it for right on in one turn. Actually, I don't know. I haven't been following him. But we are somewhere. Jarvis, would you like to be my co-commentator? I'll be with that. I'll move the mic. So I'm actually completely lost on board state, but it is a new 3v4. And we've traded Chen Pao's Sash for a Koraidon. That's what we're at. So that sure is a pretty good trade. We do lose Chen. If that works, so it's 3 for 3. 3 Specialization. I'm assuming it's surely Tigers. I don't know if he was phrased that it did that. Dude, actually, Chen Pao stayed on the field maybe like by means of a protect or something. Probably could have picked up like a.
Yeah, like 228.
50 out of 628, was that what it was? Yeah.
280. Math.
Extra 25%, I think it's easy.
Yeah. Range down here.
Actually, not too long. But now when I was under a bit of pressure because of this moves. Yes.
Still got range battle with 4 next turn, so she's still on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Double protected polygraph into group 1.
Yeah, you might have to. In fact, I think that if you're going to polygraph to be
So,
yeah, that's fair. That's true. But the plan is surprised that because it would not carry protect, because I feel like predicting a lot of protect is actually reasonable too, but at the end of the day it worked out for Jack, so good vibrant on it. Hopefully Fashion did choose on the offensive side.
was out on off. Could have been an idiot. Good to know.
Well, wait, so I don't know what when I was really going to achieve here. Like, medium being picks up neither. Obviously not.
Yeah, it's not great.
I don't know, it's probably taking like
60.
Yeah, 55, 60%. And no, they're mine 75. The young boy, this is breaking the shadow shot.
Still, it takes more than one more.
It's not all. Yeah, that's your right. Mine and all are going to slap on you.
Which is medium being, yeah, surely it's not carrying protection.
I think it can. Medium being wide blood moon guys protectors like listen.
The trigger?
Of course.
Yeah, we saw it. That's trigger.
Was that one back on mine? No, was it? I don't even know why I'm in the last round. Yeah, so no, right, let's pause on the next one. I want like on previous turn, if we're scoring that we're not expecting them to that would have been insane. Out of
following on this. I think it was too risky though. Like, he probably was also expecting the two shot and Luna in the younger space and not pick it up.
Yeah, which is actually really huge because it shortens us in this time a little bit. I think if you have one more chance to get through, we're not in a great position. So.
Protect maybe pitch.
Yeah, need to land up with organization and obviously carry the system.
Yeah.
Zation did not even attempt to buy Zation. And
Double protect.
Yeah, that must have thought. Actually, yeah, if it's the last turn, then we're in a great position. If they were spout, just takes it.
Yeah, even outside side, even with the side punch should still pick up the brute on it after that chance.
Yeah. I don't hate this term because it does like.
There's nothing else you do if you don't protect the game.
You chuck that Kyrie gets the damage off, and then let it go down, bring in the null, then you can mitigate Kyrie's damage to its full capacity. The problem is then you have to get your Ursula is now like half HP to somehow survive against this station to get it off. So it's not easy by any means.
So you know this one's the same sword, so she
I don't believe so.
does Ursula go down to high speed together?
I think it does. I think it does. I think Miles have a lot to do. Fan will be a good player down to the checks.
It's just a skill issue, really.
I think the thing is like that protect even if it goes through that triple set like it's never going off. I think that that Kyogre's double protect, sorry, that
They were calling them to play around the park.
yeah.
Because I played,
Even still you
if they asked me to sort of slot and he was bladed,
oh yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
it does go also, yeah.
I think you always double Nala come which means even if there's going to be or even if there's going to be a chance, the other's going to Nala dies and then you have one against half with either because of too fast. Yeah.
And it has no skill. Wait for Jack.
Jack won. Everyone's yelling at me to say it. Jack won. Jack won the game. Alright, chat? Jack won.
Player won the game.
No, Jack won. He wasn't a Kyogre organization. He used to be a Kyogre player until he used a hard kick. So he became a Zacian player.
Okay.
Hello gamers, this is Scrubs. I'm going to be commentating the last round of the fourth part of our VG League Cup Good Games Brisbane today. It's very loud here, so I do apologize for any outside noise.
I just was, when I was going, I was supposed to obviously exact same team to what Carlton was running. I think very level of Fleming, interesting pick. And I also think that Yuri Longozo might be good.
Sorry guys, one of our players was without their team sheet, so I had to go return it. Got Maridon Owo versus Maridon Manala. Maridon Manala is a fairly popular archetype at the moment. So there's been a lot of those playing today, as I'm sure you've probably seen. Maridon Owo, a bit more of a unique archetype, has both of these teams have pretty good matchups into Calgary Shadows and Azenta, which is a very, very popular team at the moment. I don't actually think there was any of them here today, surprisingly. I think Brisbane players are kind of more leaning on the side of they want to be prepared for the metagame, and it is actually rather interesting. Yeah, I wasn't using it, so I do wonder if people aren't using it, more people at the next week's event might actually start picking it up just because they might think it might be less prepared for. But yeah, so I think this matchup will be interesting. Jake is kind of struggling to figure out what his last ones want to be, so I think it's a fun matchup to watch.
Sneeze is putting up toxic flags, which is I've never seen a Sneeze lot really any kind of competitive spike.
Right on Fleming, very, very aggressive. There's no opposing weather on the other side of the field. So not really any reason not to just leave the Koraidon in this matchup.
Getting the KO on Koraidon is going to be big.
But at the same time, like Koraidon and Iron Shreds are like also free to just like hit the field here. I think this could be actually quite interesting because all of these Pokemon are going to be very fast. Like Iron Shred is most likely Scarf. I don't have a copy of the team sheet. I'm just letting it ride. But more Bandit story with the speed boosting, I'd say. I think this league matchup very, very well. Very good play. I'd say cool. One main being the fastest thing on the field definitely puts Jake on the back foot I would say.
The piece of sushi switches in.
We're very into this build.
Most of them are coming up sort of tank.
Going straight for the Terra Fairy.
I don't
Doesn't
know
want to take any moon blasts. Yeah, the icy would make sense. Because then, like, Koraidon should just be able to outspeed either of these Pokemon. Oh, really? Well, there we go. High horsepower is actually faster still.
Probably gonna be using a
With the light bulb, not the
good damage.
switch band, like I thought.
They're probably gonna be using it.
Flare Blitz is just straight up picking on Koraidon. That's crazy.
That's not as much of a
I think that might be a bit of a rough trade, although I'd say another one of those high horsepowers would pick up the Miraidon at this stage. But losing Miraidon with the Terra turn one is very rough. Yeah, the high horsepower will definitely pick up the Koraidon from this rank. And Ho are actually in a very, very good position here. Not really threatened by either of these Pokemon. They can fight inside if they choose to go for it with so much damage, or they're going to set up a tail and get the speed.
Probably gonna go for Brave
Lava really well.
It's gonna be able to do.
And the Grimmsnarl switch is actually really interesting here. It makes sense, like, Grimmsnarl, the Pokemon, the Combine, you want to bring it back. Like, I assume it was probably bought in preparation for the side stand, because you need a switch in for the expanding force.
So I don't have the team sheet here, so I don't know quite what the
Yeah, the Grimmsnarl, oh my god, okay. I don't think that would have KO'd without the Grims, so that is rather unlucky for Jake there.
Maybe try it
But
there's offensive threat.
this Owen looks to be in quite a good position now. This Iron Shred's coming back in with the speed.
And also this
Like, these two could kind of just run through this game now, potentially. Like, you could actually, like, we completely flip the script here.
The burn that's probably gonna be big because now the Dumbo is not gonna do as much damage, or really anywhere near as much damage as they would.
Yeah, but Protect making a lot of sense here because Iron Shreds is very, very threatened, and the Sash on bottom main means you can't KO both of them once. I feel like in this game, Jake really wants to be in a position where he can just get 2 KOs and then threaten both of his opponent's Pokemon with a tail end.
Protect, probably try
If they take it by yourself, I feel like it'd be massive. No burn, so I think we'll most likely see like a very, very similar set of moves to this turn. But say,
Leftovers doesn't really give it much because it just leftovers still around to close to
most likely just aiming to get 2 knockouts.
the other leftovers don't really matter. At least it doesn't matter that much.
The Koraidon knocked out. Fluttermane most likely going to get knocked out by this first turn. And then we'll just have to see what
Doesn't
we
really
can
much damage.
from this. Oh my god. Yeah, I should. I think really, really depending on what the last Pokemon is. Ho may struggle to watch this game by itself. But it is a Ho. It is so bulky. Like, might be over it. I'm going to guess Lunala. And if it is those two, it's looking pretty rough. They've got more offensive output. Lunala and the Psychic Terrain is crazy. And this indeed does, but this Lunala does have the EME. So Goa will be forced to terror in this scenario. No, he can't even terror. I think he's, not looking great.
I'm actually pretty surprised that neither of the teams
Unfortunate
have
position.
Kyogre Shower.
I think Jake has the tools to adapt to this matchup in game 2.
We lost
That'll be very
format.
pretty cool stuff.
There's nothing for them.
I will also be interested to see if this Sacred Fire is enough to just pick up NDD or like how much.
And also, I think
That could be very, very useful information. Like going into game 2, just like how much damage, right?
that
Oh,
Yak
okay.
is
So yeah, the Lunala just
supposed
straight out
to be-
speeds.
I don't know
That's
who
I
he
think
is.
Stevia being the most likely KO.
No,
Like,
I should
it is
know
hard.
Jarvis, I just realized that.
Maybe it
So,
can.
yeah. Jarvis.
Unfortunate. But yeah, that's also important information to have that Lunala is faster than the Hull in this matchup. So I think overall this matchup, this matchup it could be quite difficult for Jake, but I think he has the tools to adapt for game two.
To leave behind your restrict second unrestricted because it's how
For Damon, on the other side is actually he's one of those junior players. He is so good at the game. Like genuinely, like I've played against him a couple of times, and he is so hard to beat. Like he plays really, really well. He actually won the Brisbane Regional Championship in the junior division just recently. So genuinely a really, really strong player. Like Jake is definitely up for a really, really good set here. I think a lot of people underestimate Genius because of their age, but genuinely some of the ones that I've played against, especially the ones that we have now seen at the moment, are really, really good.
Let's see how Jarvis tries to adjust.
Yeah, so the group style has been kind of picked out on the lead here, which I can definitely respect from Jake. Most likely looking at either a reflect or a light screen outcome one, depending on whatever restricted is led by the opponent. Like, yeah, I definitely respect this game to the game plan. I'm very interested to see how it plays out on Jake's side. I feel like Damon can very easily go for a similar game plan. Since it worked out game one, he might feel comfortable just doing it again in game two. But he could also adjust to just leading the expanding force game and just seeing if he can push with that. Alright, let's go, game two. Very, very aggressive matchup from Damon here. I feel like Jake has a slightly advantageous lead matchup here, just because he can click light screen and hold, which and neither of these Pokemon really want to take that.
Jarvis leads with the Shadow Rider and Sneasel versus a Ho-Ho.
I have seen Damon's team. I did play him earlier in the tournament. I can't exactly remember I think a lot of men is trash. We saw that earlier. I think Genie is smart, but a very, very aggressive lead matchup here.
Actually, Sunlight doesn't even have Shadow Rider. That's the Shadow Rider is Pterodactyl, which means
very interesting, yeah. Going for the Thunder Wave and connecting it, not wanting to hit on Moonblast from the slot lane, which makes a lot of sense. Over here, doing a great Marauder, which is really, really smart. That was covering for the Terra Fairy play there from Jake. Gone for, I want to say, most likely a Moonblast and then over here, which would definitely pick up that Terra Fairy Marauder. Really, really good prediction from Jake there, I think, but also a really, really strong play from Damon as well. Jake is definitely looking at the better end of the exchange here with that Thunder Wave. Attack drop not really going to matter very much.
At least,
yeah, it's just great light screen. There's really, really not much that Damon can do to stop the light screen tailwind here. Neither of these Pokemon really, really threatened the Ho-Oh. Bit of a weird position to be in. It's probably just going to double the group style here and try and get rid of it. I don't think Moonblast is going to KO after a light screen, but you'll see a good crit.
There's a critical hit, but that did not really matter.
Yeah.
Because Moonblast
very, very close. Must be very physically defensive to take that much damage, I'd say.
Into the Sneasel, that should carry the KO. So now, Colton has a big advantage here. It's already half of Jarvis' team already. I mean, Colton has a big advantage.
Yeah, Fluttermane goes for Protect here. That makes sense. Jake is kind of free to just ignore this GU now. because it's going to be a minus this after. It literally cannot get any lower. Like, it's looking rough. I feel like she may want to switch out. Like, it's very risky. She actually getting a knockout at -4. Let's go G with cooking. But yeah, I think we may see Damon try and switch out that GU at some point just to try and get more value out of it, and because Jake really doesn't want to just knock it out straight away because that is what is just a dead spot right now, and that's something you really want to be able to punish in this position. Oh, okay. Look, we're just seeing the KO that's fair enough as well.
That's interesting. I think if the flood has gone to Terra Fairy, it's probably going to be Terra Fairy easy KO Mariah.
Going for the double protect there, most likely, and not getting it. Yeah, this most likely will play is just going to be good.
And now it's here.
Yeah, that's a good position for Jake to be in, I think. Grimstar isn't really a Pokemon that it had done its job. Losing it in that, honestly, probably a good thing for Jake.
Okay, yeah, compliment around.
Once Grimstar set up like it's got its underwear off. What more is it there to do? Like it has done everything it needs to.
Yeah, I kind of wish
To go right on the
went a bit longer.
so we will not be seeing
I
this
kind of
type
like
of training. So in Magnath got this good thing. I noticed that the Koraidon is extremely
I
bulky on
think
this team.
those two teams are really interesting. Like
I've been using Swordfish for a team. I've got a very slow, bulky Zacian. It pretty much just outspeeds stuff in like the around about the time as the 6 feet. And I noticed that my Zacian was faster than his Koraidon, but it must be extremely, really, very, very bulky to be hitting that speed here. It will most likely be a double to enough, just because Lunala can doing that much damage through Shadow Shield is great. Yeah, Lunala gets knocked out this time. So this is looking like a very, very good end game for Jake. But I think he can either go for the double attack again, or he can switch out on the right arm.
Performance from Colton with a Koraidon
Fine for the dazzling wing. Yeah, we are seeing this switch here.
The Shadow Rider didn't get that, didn't do that much in that game.
Makes a lot
In
of
that
sense.
game too for Jarvis.
Because then even I don't think Koraidon would be able to KO Ho-Oh here. Not without a move. No way. And that means he should have the to go for a play. But we see the Terrifier here, and that's what Jake wanted to know. Like, now Jake can safely click an electric move into it. He doesn't have to play like it doesn't link like an electric move, and like now he can just lock in, just click the electric move when he comes back in, and that should most likely. Even Tread's here, I think Tread should be able to close this one out without Moraidon.
I'm pretty sure looking around, I'm
We
pretty
see
sure
the
Stream
Terror
was
Tread,
one to
like it's
finish.
pretty hard.
None of the others
And the
finished
switch
yet.
to Moraidon. Sorry, the switch to Moraidon. Very interesting. I do think this play is fairly safe because
That match went quite quickly.
if he misses the ground move, could still live a turn, and even if like it doesn't live, then Moraidon is here, and we'll be getting that big electric move off. The only thing that can go wrong is like not going his way. I think Jake is most likely, which should be okay. There we go. Horsepower hits, Koraidon's going on. GG, very well played by Jake. Honestly, very, very good job there, I think. I'd be very interested to see how games play. I wouldn't be shocked to see David try and go back to his game plan. I think his game plan was really, really good. Whereas game 2, I think it was very Jake had a lot of tools to punish that lead man. Like Ho-Oh such a specially bulky Pokemon. Really just take this really well. Senior and fun. So I would be very surprised to see that lead matchup back from Damon's side there. But I think they definitely adjust really, really well in their game two. I would not be shocked to see him go for a similar gameplay in game three. I especially think that so valuable because Grimmsnarl just let him Grimmsnarl let everything live so much longer. Get the reflector, get the light screen up, get the thunder wave off. I don't know, it was huge. But I definitely, we can see that, the Grimmsnarl is definitely coming again. A hugely valuable Pokemon in the matchup for JK. I also think he's switched up to leading the Hood, which I think is really, really interesting. One thing that the lead matchup he's picked definitely doesn't like is he doesn't really want to lose terrain control. Which if Damon decides to switch up and go for Lunala Unity, Morido kind of needs to go straight back down the road. With wall switch potential is fine. I think Jake is maybe thinking of trying to preserve the terrain control for this game until later in the game. All right, it has been game three. Very keen to see how this one plays out. Let's go. Automatic Corrado is back. I definitely think it's a really, really good lead matchup for Damon. But this Ho-Oh is also in really, really good spot here. There's not really too much either of these Pokemon to do to it. Jake definitely looking at maybe making a really aggressive break and just doubling down that Corrado in turn one. Maybe rethinking it. Here we go. So he's going for the third first. To make sure he's able to live that moonblock, I would say. Because this time he wants to get the Brave Bird off. But he still wants to be able to keep that he still wants to be able to keep the light screen and the reflect potentially for turn two. Yeah, Moonblock goes straight into Grimmsnarl, but he takes it like an absolute champion. Whereas Brave Bird, is that just KO? Koraidon super bulky tanks that with just a tiny bit of health. What the collision cause, that is actually such a crazy turn one for Jake. That is so sick. Honestly, fantastic play. Like, very, very reasonable play from Damon, I think. Yeah, not really targeting at all. He just really can't do that much damage to it, and he's got most likely the Nala in the back to immediately there. Jake no longer can stop that without the Ferret Glass potential. Maybe landing on that in the late game. Shadow Ball going into the Grimmsnarl here. Unfortunately for Jake, does pick up with the critical hit. May have mattered, may not. It is up on a name. I'm going to say it probably didn't matter too much, but unfortunate for Jake not getting the reflector. But if this burns, this could be really, really big. Yeah, and we do see the burn. That is so crazy for Jake here. Getting the KO for the focus Sash is so crazy. Like, and Koraidon being Thunderwave is slower than Ho-Oh for next turn. Oh my god. The Nala comes in. I'm thinking this turn we may see something along the line like a Pulse with great bird from Jake's end here. I think Lunala definitely wants to try and get a media beam off. Owen may also just choose to go for a defensive play. Like you may be able to like protect all switch or like the media beam because of the power hub, like it only works at one time. So if you fail or like if you miss that media beam or it goes into a protection, you can't safely put it again. It's actually really, really hard. We're seeing a DD come here, so we might just get a candy for it's actually really, really scary. Like I don't think it would KO in this ring, but it's definitely gonna hurt. Electric was much damage with Viking play. Yeah, that actually did not do very much at all. That is a spec. Yeah, and the media beam does come down. And making such a good call that point. I mean, this isn't a position for Jake, but not being able to reset the plane makes things very, very difficult. I think this Iron Treads is going to have a lot of work to do. Yeah, I think this could actually be quite a difficult in the game. I'm very interested to see like if both of these Pokemon are able to survive this move against this Vanilla, then I definitely think we have a game here. But I think it might be really tough. Yeah, Vanilla Initi going for the follow me here makes a lot. It's just blocking any attacks going into that Vanilla. And I'd be very surprised because like the critical hit just picks up the immediate. I was not prepared for that. I do not think that would have cared about the critical hit. That is insane. And the knockoff. Jake cooked. Jake did it. I actually was not prepared for that at all. I think that crit mattered. Especially through its psychic speed. That is such a crazy way for this game to end. I not prepared for this. Oh my god. This is so crazy. I think Jake is weak. I don't really think there's much Damon can do. But yeah, I like her gift goes into the right and then picks up and yeah, that is honestly such an unlucky end game for Damon there. I feel like he was in such a good position. But there's just not much you can do about that kind of luck, really. Like that's just the game we played. Like obviously, like they both played really, really well. I think they both played to their output. I feel like Damon's gameplay that really does demonstrate like the level of strain how like GPU players have in this game. Like some of the they're genuinely so good. It is terrifying playing against. Yeah, that was a really, really good set to watch. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed commentating it. So thank you for having me. I might be back later on. But we'll be seeing you guys later for the top start games, I imagine. So see you around. Hello gamers, this is Ross. I'm going to be commentating the last round of four part of our VG League Cup at Brisbane today. Pretty loud here, so I do apologize for any outside noise.